Now we have a very good panel discussion where, in fact, depending on what the organizers plan to do, we might have some questions as well from the audience during the discussion or at the end of the discussion. But the topic is the same, which has just been presented, COVID threat landscape and its prevention. And to introduce or Dr. Shoaib Ahmed Khan, I was just telling him I've met him first time, but when I was doing masters in 2003, so we were supposed to attend a course on digital signal processing, and I was coming from a computer science background, and there were a few others like me in the same class, and we had not studied signals and systems. And our teacher at that time was more than 60 years old. So we had to rely on his video lectures. So the point which I want to make is that in 2003, it's now these days that people are going online and conducting the lectures and trainings and those online courses. In 2003, I studied or listened to his recorded lectures on DSP. So sir, thank you very much. And he is the moderator of today's session. Gigi, please. And so the panelists for this panel discussion are going to be Syed Ali Naqvi, who is a Senior Technical Information Security Officer at Habib Bank. He is joining us from Karachi. Do we have him already online? I hope so. And next is Mr. Jawad Khalid Mirza, Chief Information Security Officer of Askari Bank, a very seasoned and multi-dimensional person who has worked in Pakistan as well as outside Pakistan and in the government sector as well. With him, we have Mr. Tawseef Aslam, Business Security Officer from Telenor, Pakistan, who is also, mashallah, very competent person in this field. And he has just been looking after the emerging Asia cluster at Telenor as well. With them, we have Nabil Amjad, Head of Cloud Services from Jazz, recently joined Jazz from PTCL, so it's a very good thing. And in the end, we have one more remote participant who is Amin Shokri from Turkey. He is from Kaspersky. He's joining us from Turkey. He is Senior Security Consultant. So do we have him online? Yes. Right. So Ali is also there and Amin is also there. So sir, Dr. Saab, please, mics hai. We need to give them mics. एक माइक मेरे ख्याल से रिसेप्शन डेस्क पे पड़ा हुआ था आगे ओके
अस्सलाम वालेकुम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अभी थोड़े से साल रह गए हैं जब somebody would be saying कि वो एक 60 years का टीचर था so I'm glad that I did something good in 2003 once we started a distance learning program in case and I know many people getting benefit of that और शक्ल से नहीं ज़्यादा लोग मेरी आवाज़ से पहचानते थे मुझे जितनी देर में स्लाइड चल रही हैं तो I'll just what the format I'm going to use is that I have a small presentation, maybe 5 minutes, so that we set the stage, and then we'll try to make it more interactive, or so that even you can ask questions, and mashallah, a young and very able panel. Slide changer है अगर मुझे मिल जाए तो so ये मैंने कुछ कोविड की तस्वीर बनाई हुई है like everything going down and so it's the panel is about post COVID cybersecurity threat landscape and its protection. आप change कर देंगे slide भाई. So these are young and very enthusiastic panelists who are all sitting here, and 3 of us are online. Next, please. So, and we know that coronavirus has impacted the world economy, but interestingly, it has boosted up the digital transformation. Next, please. So the recession, 40 million people filing unemployment in America, 80% people not coming for shopping. But on the other hand, अगली slide कीजिएगा. But then, interestingly, there are companies which are doing better than what they used to do, and these all are digital companies. And even Pakistani IT export has increased about 24%. You know, so COVID has benefited, and we know why, because of the this forced, so to say, digital transformation. So increased digital transformation increases the need for cybersecurity and action. आगे चलिएगा. So I want, like, to you and for my own self, to have some outcomes to take away, and these are the takeaways that I'm planning to have, like post-COVID threat landscape. Perhaps we all know about that. Sharing expert views, like people sitting here on the पिछली slide कीजिएगा sir. About the protection strategies, and then listing recommendations to the relevant stakeholders. But most important is the recommendation for national level cybersecurity initiatives, and I was glad to listen to a presentation who was just telling us about the national cybersecurity policy, and especially for digital Pakistan, as we are moving towards digital Pakistan. अगर अगली slide है जल्दी से गुजार दें 4-5. So Pakistan going digital, you know, Malaysia going digital, Indonesia going digital, Thailand going digital, Bangladesh going digital, Sri Lanka going digital, India going digital, and Dubai even 10x. So we also have a vision for Pakistan, and to catch up, we are saying AI-driven digital transformation. I am part of 3 task forces, and we have been drafting the strategies for Pakistan to move forward. Next कीजिएगा, and then we have, like this as we presented to the Prime Minister, Dr. Ataur Rahman. आगे चलिएगा. So many projects that actually, and this is the way to work with the government. Like if you have a concept, you need to develop projects, write PC ones, and then get them approved and then implement them. Otherwise, we'll just keep wasting our time in talking. So that's what we have been doing. आगे चलिएगा. So many projects which directly relates to digital transformation, but the most important is this one, which is AI-driven digital transformation. It's the 40 billion rupees project that we have crafted, and you know, cybersecurity at the heart of it. Cybersecurity, national cloud, and national data regulatory authority. So many things. So we thought it through. Now that there are national challenges, and this is what we are inshallah going to implement in few years' time. आगे चलें. And so we got to be very careful, because we know we are 4th in the list of countries experience most cyber attacks. Yes, please. And this is a good project which we got it approved almost. It's a cyber security for digital Pakistan. We are setting aside phase 1, about 2 billion rupees for this, and we'll be implementing many things in this project. आगे चलें. So these are the different elements in the project, and where I would like people to give their input so that we can craft it even better. आगे. So this myself, आगे चलें. And the company I created many years back here, and more focus is about developing technologies for our mission critical systems, which are cyber security proof systems. We have our own routers, switches, our own protocols, our own encryption standards, red-black separation. So we are doing about $40 million worth of project currently in this year. Next. So my question 1 to our panelists is, COVID-19 has resulted into abrupt forced digital transformation where many are ill-prepared and exposed in cyberspace. Does the current cyber threat landscape has more actors and type of attacks, or it has just resulted into an increase in intensity of existing attacks by the same actors? तो क्या नए तरह के attacks आ गए हैं, नए तरह के actors हैं, या वही पुराने चेहरे हैं, लेकिन जिस तरह से कहा जाता है कि once everybody is in lockdown, but there are people who are open are cyber criminals. तो हम किसी भी ऑर्डर में चल सकते हैं सर. सो प्राइमरीली थ्रेट का लैंडस्केप थोड़ा सा बताइएगा, और इम्पॉर्टेंट ये है कि क्या नई चीज़ें इसके अंदर अब नज़र आ रही हैं हमें, जिसके लिए वी गॉट टू बी कॉशियस.
Thank you, Dr. Sir. So yes, COVID-19 has accelerated the digital transformation, and then what is happening in Pakistan that means there is a whole ecosystem that is worked behind this online classes. Recently, small retailers now they are trying to do online. We have seen in recent past in the last 6 months that people are taking medical advice online. It was very rare in past. So what all this means is that attack surface is important. And then that attack surface is basically there is a lot more potential for attack to take place. So I would say that this video conversation has resulted in many good approaches where people can simply try to get data from the models as a individual. How they use it, we cannot basically. We just, I think, got news on social media where US government was able to buy data of Muslims' location in US by buying data from Fair Act. So I don't think that many people have anticipated that even this can be used by military intelligence to track people around. So there are a lot of theories where this is happening. So I would say that existing threat actors have accelerated their game, but then on top of it, there are not many opportunities for that, especially when it comes to data security, data privacy, which is not only cyber security, but they are that is also coming.
Good, sir. Thank you.
Let me add one thing over here. Every opportunity comes up with every threat comes up with opportunities for criminals. This is an opportunity. We have witnessed at the financial institution more cyber crimes on or financial side. In the mobile apps, fake mobile apps are running on different Play stores, and more phishing attacks on from adversaries. But the thing is, the threat, this landscape has been overlarge, but the techniques have been changed with respect to this COVID thing. I think we have to be, we have to take care, we have to apprise and aware our audience as well with upcoming this kind of techniques that industries are using. I think digital transformation has pedaled up much more things, but on the other hand, our security team need to be beefed up in organization and the countryside. I think we have to be much more aware by these adversaries.
My view on this is that it is actually a blend of both the questions that you pose. So not only the attack surfaces increase, the threat landscape naturally increases every time with multiple fronts, but also the number of threat actors have increased because of the fair fact that the attack surface is now more bigger than what it used to be. And at the same time, a lot of industries which were not really on the radar or not actually seen as the potential, I would say, hosts to be attacked, they came into limelight as well. A case was mentioned around medical. So if you could see, during the COVID period, we saw a lot of attacks on the financial institution, but at the same time also on the medical infrastructure as well. COVID websites getting hacked and stuff like that. Apart from that, I will also take an enterprise view of this thing is that before COVID, essentially, your perimeter was limited to your office premises only. Now that perimeter has actually enhanced, moved on to your homes, schools, and to your endpoints. So that not only again increases the attack surface, but also with that comes a lot of tactics and techniques by which we are getting attacked when our data is being ciphered. So I would say it's a blend of both, and it's a blend of sophisticated blend. And another factor that has contributed to that is that now we're also watching and experiencing AI and machine learning based attacks. Those vectors have actually come into place a lot, which demands that our responses have to be aligned accordingly as well. It has to be an AI driven response to an automated attacks that we could not think as humans and we could not foresee as humans are coming to us, and we have to find ways to respond to them accordingly as well.
So our international, so our online panelists, maybe from Turkey first, and then we'll go to the. Yeah.
Of course,
So
of
Ali
course.
Saab, if you could please.
So basically, if you look at it, um, many of us have seen COVID as an virus outbreak, maybe, or pandemic. The another way of look at it is the COVID is a gateway to the future, and how the threat landscape basically is increasing, because the more you are going digital, that means the more you are exposed, publicly exposed, digitally exposed. That gives opportunities for all the hackers and the frauds out there globally, because this is a borderless crime. You don't need just people inside the country to do the crimes, first of all. So the more you go digital, we have seen the pace of e-commerce transactions be increased exponentially in Pakistan. And in addition to that, all the banking channels are basically going digital as well, which I believe the motives of any basically hacker or fraudster is to get the data out of it or either get the money out of it. So I think the threat landscape is going to go threefold. It's not just one-fold, threefold. And we should prepare ourselves, our institutions, our country for that. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, I mean, if you would like to. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, from a security perspective, there has been market increase in attacks since the pandemic started, and those attacks have only begun. To follow social distancing guidelines, employees have been working remotely at home while this has been going on for a while now. And the companies have started exploring the options for and benefit of having remote works. But while this convenience is great for employees, it poses increased risk that cybersecurity professionals will need to deal with it. So if I want to just give you two examples about this and why we say that is market as an increased attacks, just as an example, the fake pandemic map websites attempt to steal your sensitive data. This is just one of the number of by hackers to lure people into first sense of security by creating websites that appear trustworthy, but which are ultimately intend to cause the harm. And of course, the phishing, the coronavirus phishing email, including malware, disguised as an attachment. A number of fake and highly targeted coronavirus phishing emails, where the attackers disguise themselves as an official organization, include the National Health Center or Centers of the Disaster Control and Prevention, and also World Health Organization have also been highlighted. So that's why, from the security perspective, we can see these attacks increasing, and also they are using the different methods and different phishing methods to access your data, or at least gathering some information for starting the peer execution attack.
So the takeaway is like the threat surface and threat actors and so has increased threefold, and there are even more intelligent attacks. They are AI-based attack, which even will be difficult for people to perceive even. So for question number 2, as now we are finding out it is very scary for the digital transformation to happen. So keeping in perspective post-COVID cyber threat landscape, which has increased threefold, so to say, and our exposure, should we still go for digital Pakistan? In many cases, we hardly have any choice of not working from home, as COVID-19 is reshaping our world potentially forever. Or shall we first draft our national cybersecurity policy and regulation and install established cybersecurity safeguards? This reminds me of a very senior person whom I was selling like digital transformation before COVID, and I was convincing him digitize or die. And he told me, Shoaib, it is not digitize or die, it is digitize and die. So my question to the panelist is, Is it digitize or die versus digitize and die? What should we prefer? Should we first install all the safeguards, or we just go ahead and somebody said in this you die several times, but the good thing is that you can again come alive and still doing your work. So in the same sequence.
I think we have to pedal up both simultaneously. I think this is not a choice. We have no time. I think COVID, this era has pedaled up these things. I think we have to be digitized and we have to equip ourselves simultaneously. Uh, Most of us belong to financial sector, and we are paddling up these things simultaneously, and we are not waiting for the national level response to come in. Actually, we have a regulator which is quite stringent on those controls and on those safeguards, and we actually can't move freely. Just other sectors are doing freely these things. I think we have to digitize and, or I think exclamation, not to die, but we have to do things simultaneously. I think there are much more seasoned persons which are doing their work at the national level, but I think at the national level, things are going straighten up.
That's a very interesting question. And in my view, so this is not an option. So we have to do both of them together. Digitization is a fast-moving bullet train, and if we have to secure it, so cybersecurity has to come at that pace, and then we have to deliver as a community, because this is not something that only government can do. So it's every one of us who has some knowledge and who feel responsibility. We all need to step up and we need to do it. So in my view, I don't think that we can even stop it, even if we try. So this is not an option, and this is not an option. This has never been an option. So you see, we started software development around 20 years ago. Security need was there, but even as of today, we see that most of the vulnerabilities are due to even in your previous question, you were hitting that that point. That there are more digital apps being developed, but they are not security enabled. So this has never happened in past. It will not happen in future as well. So the cybersecurity policy and the regulation, I think that we need to speed up, because if we will not, so consequences will be high. Only option that we have is if we will learn from the best practices, or we will try to reinvent the wheel, and threat actors will teach us. So that's the only option that I think we have.
Dr. Saab, it's a no-brainer. Do we want to digitize or not? We've seen, and we've seen that in your opening slides as well. The market cap of companies which were ready for digital channels grew like anything, and we also saw their revenues going up, and the adoption of digital channels grew among. इसकी example एक cost से भी drive होती है. The cost of opening a digital account for a bank is probably around 24 rupees, whereas a cost of opening a normal account over the counter is around maybe 200 rupees. So even from a cost perspective, it makes sense. So it has to happen. So it's a no-brainer. Can we, should we wait for an attack? Because attack has to happen. ये होगा ही होगा. One way or the other, we can delay it. So उसका तरीका ये है कि we should be ready in determine कि who would attack me, why would they want to attack me, what would they attack, how would they attack us, and उसके फिर impact and consequences. That prepares us with this thing, and it has to go in parallel with whatever initiatives that we have to take. मेरा इसके ऊपर ये opinion है, and purely from a national level as well. I think it's an effort that has to go in parallel. We can't wait for one thing or the other. It's not like a chicken and egg situation. It has to be something that you do. And security perspectives, there is no point in time. So it has to be evolving all the time. It's just like an escalator going down and up, उसकी उल्टी तरफ पे खड़े में. So unless and until we sort of draw things in parallel, मेरे ख्याल से sustain करना मुल्क के लिए भी और हमारे अपने businesses के लिए भी मुश्किल हो जाएगा. That's my take on it.
Let me add one more thing over here. Ali will give some more details. Roshan digital account is one example of it. While Pakistanis are living abroad, they are opening their accounts digitally on a digital channels. in any form is a brilliant example of digitalization in Pakistan, and this is with safeguards that is putting by a regulator, which is much more keen. On the other hand, we have to have RDAs, much more RDAs coming in, and while taking care of security as well. I think Ali, being a consortium member, Ali, I think give more details on it. Thank you.
Ali. Mr. Ali, please. If you could, I think we have lost Mr. Ali
Yeah,
to a cyber security
yeah,
threat, maybe.
yeah. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So, regarding the Pakistani digitalization, let me explain another perspective. For the past decade, I've focused on the power of technology to empower efficiency and drive innovation. For many, especially the older and more established business, it was an evolution from the uncertainty to undeniability. Then the division caused by the global pandemic hit, and the digital agenda accelerated in a few short months and even weeks. So, remote medical diagnosis and contact tracing and contactless commerce and cashless payment, video meetings and remote work. It's hard to imagine how people and organizations would have responded to this pandemic a decade ago. Technology is helping save time, helping businesses save growth, and keeping people contact and active. Today, forward things enterprise are already digital to the core and those that aren't fully big. So advancement in the technologies such as cloud, mobile, virtual reality, blockchain, machine learning, data science are competing, and the more we will continue to reshape how we work and live. But this comes at a very huge risk. The other major change the technology has brought us a constant threat of the damage from the cybercrime without paying the right level of attention to cybersecurity. Digital ability can expose more interface to these threats. So digitalization is something we cannot control it. It's happening. And the only thing that we can do is address it in the right way. But motorboard, we have to be careful how we are doing it because the criminals are always waiting for is exposed. They are waiting for a gap. To use this opportunity to use it to exploit something on a company. So yes, it is something that we should be happy.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Ali is back online, so.
Yeah, apologies. Just wanted to say two quick things. If we want to be a part of digital globalization, there is no going back. We have to be there. All we can do is embed the
We again lost him, and so all these young people's they want digitize and die option of my question. And let me give you a very quick example. Yesterday I was in a panel, another panel, which was selecting vice chancellors for KPK, and we had about 120 candidates, and we made, we evaluated them, 5 of us, and we gave them marks, and then that list was on the internet. Okay, and the bad thing was, like, beside few names, it was also written that there is a JIT, there is an inquiry against this person on this, and everybody was mad on this. And then we decided that instead of doing it digital, we'll do it on paper, the final 8 that we selected for 8 universities of KPK. So this is an example. And what is happening in Pakistan, people have stopped using smartphones. You cannot take smartphone to any important building or organization. First they said you bring a simple phone, and now they will not allow you even to bring a simple phone. So people are really threatened. They would rather do no digitization, but they don't want these things to happen, attacks to happen. So I have a very different perspective and view. And my view is that at least we got to classify it, characterize that, okay, these are the things we can afford cyber threats and cyber attacks on these type of application and information. But then there is information where you got to make sure that your safeguards are in place, and only then you digitize. So this was my perspective, which is, yes, Mr. Ali is back. And so I need to change my slide. Can you please change? दोबारा कीजिएगा. Change the slide, please. Okay, question number 3. Yes. देखते हैं क्या question आने वाला है. Okay, so this, I think we can quickly go over this because there was a good presentation. What should be our national strategy for cybersecurity and how to take immediate safeguards. Just say, okay, we don't have to wait. If we are digitizing, at least we have to some safeguards through regulation, through policy. So what should be those safeguards? Jawad sir.
I think first of all we need, हम policy की तो बात कर रहे हैं, but उससे पहले we have to have a national strategy on cybersecurity which reflects top concern, is a top concern from the premier side. We have, हम quite savvy हैं, हम security पे काम करना चाहते हैं, हम अपनी nation को save करना चाहते हैं. We have to come up with a strategy first. After that, आपने पॉलिसी ड्राफ्ट करनी है, आपने रेगुलेशन ड्राफ्ट करने हैं, आपने लॉज ड्राफ्ट करने हैं, उसके बाद वो सारी चीज़ें आ जाएंगी. ऑन दिस स्ट्रैटेजी पार्ट ITU के काफ़ी उन्होंने पूरा चॉक डाउन किया हुआ है कि इन एरियाज़ के अंदर आप काम करेंगे तो आपकी जो नंबरिंग है, इंडेक्स है, साइबर इंडेक्स है, करंटली वी आर 2018 के इंडेक्स में वी आर एट 92 नंबर, इंडियंस आर एट 67th नंबर. बट उसमें एक मेन ग्रिड है जिसमें वो दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट वी हैव टू हैव अ नेशनल स्ट्रेटजी फॉर साइबर सिक्योरिटी ऑन द फर्स्ट स्टेज. रादर वी आर पॉलिसी इज द फर्स्ट एलिमेंट एज वेल, बट वी हैव टू सेट अ स्टेज फॉर स्ट्रेटजी एज वेल, राइट? देन स्ट्रेटजी शोज योर कमिटमेंट एज अ नेशन टुवर्ड्स दिस चैलेंज. आई थिंक विद दैट sponsorship, everything comes behind it. I think a tone at the top needs to be addressed here first. This is my take.
Yeah, Dr. So your questions are very interesting. So to respond this, I will say that cybersecurity is not something superficial that is coming from side. So what is actually happening that we have an infrastructure, and then we have to put some basic security hygiene onto it. And why we have all of this challenge that we are discussing, that there is a lack of discipline in that technology and IT or whatever infrastructure we have. So very first thing is that we as a nation and we as a community should first act on that. And then cybersecurity can come and maybe do some topping on top of it to give us protection from the threats we have. So I have attended a couple of such sessions, and the key takeaway from those is that we don't know ourselves, we don't know our infrastructure well, we don't maintain the basic hygiene, just leave security. And that's why these security challenges have started to happen. So there are two parts of it. So we have to take some action at the national level. We have to have some law and strategy. We have to have some good initiatives, as you just displayed us in the form of project. But on top of it, we as a community should do that. Even if you do everything that you have said, you multiply it 3-4 times. But if there is a digital app where you have 50 million customers, and that app is hosted on a weak infrastructure with weak security, and it leaks data to some adversary, then you can't do anything. So this digital is making it super difficult because it's a full meshed stuff. So we have to see the holistic view of it. Yes, strategy and all those things are important. Regulations should come so that everything that we do in Pakistan, so there are some basic principles and fundamentals that we follow. So I think this is a much bigger game, but yes, we need that, and the fundamentals are very important that we showed here. One thing, even from the today as a presentation and slides that I've seen, sometimes we make it super complicated. We try to do so many things, but the need of the hour is that we fix the basic first. So we need to fix some basic principles, both in technology and security domain, and then we build on it gradually. This will never happen in 1-2 years. So this is a long journey. It may take maybe 10, 20 years, but we have to start. If we will not start with the right basics, it will not happen. Thank you.
Sir, I'll start with, before answering this question, I'll go back to your example that you gave about the Vice Chancellor's list getting leaked onto the social media or over the internet. I believe this is primarily, in most likely case, a case of insider threat that we generally do not really talk about. So it's not about primarily the devices, the software, and the appliances. It is about behaviors as well, जो कि हम ignore करते हैं. Generally, humans हैं हम लोग. And जो सगीर मुक्ती साहब ने भी अपनी presentation में शुरू में कहा कि it starts with one's own self, कि आप cyber hygiene इंसानों से start होती है. So I think human element has to be there. I'll talk about the second part of how to take immediate safeguards first. मेरे ख्याल से our approach should be just like defending a fort from a zombie apocalypse. That's our way, that should be our way of approaching this thing. So when you are doing that, तो आप चार basic चीज़ें करते हैं. One is you set up a defensible infrastructure. Fort के गिर्द आप दीवारें ऊंची बनाते हैं, खारदार तारें लगाते हैं. उसका दूसरा element है situational awareness, to see tools जिसके through you can see who is attacking me, कौन कहाँ से आ रहा है, अंदर से कौन बाहर जा रहा है और बाहर से कौन अंदर आ रहा है. इसका तीसरा element है operational effectiveness, which comes around के you know when this panic happens, who does what, कौन क्या करेगा, ये determination बहुत ज़रूरी है. And end पे do we have enough ammunition to you know do a countermeasure, क्या हम उनको respond कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते. On the first part of the question, I think we should start focusing on the inclusion first, inclusion of multiple stakeholders, people who are also at the forefront of you know defending our assets. और ये industry wide है, you know it has to be from every industry and every nook and corner of our country, जिसमें academia भी involved है, students भी involved होंगे, people like yourself and people from various industries, telco, financial, retail, manufacturing, OT, for that matter, or so, which is very important as well. And you know now we'll see critical infrastructure के ऊपर भी attacks होंगे as and when we digitize. That's my take on it. Thank you.
If यहाँ पे मैं थोड़ा सा ऐड कर दूँ जो नबील बता रहे थे, बट कम साइबर इट कम्स ऑन, मतलब साइबर इज़ अ रियलिटी. बाहर क्या हो रहा है आपको वो साइबर से ही पता चलेगा, बट इट्स अ मिसलेड. भी पहले भी एक डिस्कशन हो रही थी अबाउट इंफॉर्मेशन एंड साइबर थिंग. दीज बोथ थिंग्स आर हैव थिन लाइन बट देयर आर डिफरेंस एज वेल. आप साइबर को नलीफाई करके इंफॉर्मेशन सिक्योरिटी पे नहीं आ सकते. इंफॉर्मेशन सिक्योरिटी डील्स विद योर इंटरनल एसेट्स. बाहर क्या हो रहा है आपके बारे में यू नेवर नो. आपको साइबर स्पेस के अंदर जो आपको एक रिफ्लेक्शन मिलती है बीइंग इन डार्क वेब एंड डीप वेब एंड दीज थिंग्स डिड कम टू द साइबर थिंग, और इट्स सब बाइट सब्जेक्ट नाउ. आई थिंक दिस इज माय टेक ऑन दिस.
Okay, I think Mr. Ali is back online. Mr. Ali.
Sorry, apologies.
Mr. Ali, should I repeat my question?
Yes, please. Sorry,
Okay, question is what should be our national strategy for cybersecurity, and the important part is how to take immediate safeguards.
See, the way I feel it, like if you're looking from the country perspective, I think we need to first of all classify our assets, our organizations, which are critical to the country. Yes, there have been there have been attacks on the institutions individually, but if anything, like we have witnessed the cyber attacks like Estonia. We have seen many threat actors basically who are state sponsors. They are actually attacking the national infrastructure as well. So I believe this is a time where we need to classify which are the critical infrastructure to our country first, and let's prioritize them. Let's protect them. because any state-sponsored attack, any huge attack on them means there is a huge reputation, and you understand that IMF has got the cyber security index rating of the country as well. So let's protect those infrastructure first, and then again we can always put the frameworks in for all institutions and all regulators like SECP, SBP, and other regulators to follow those instructions as well. But a framework and a classifications of your national assets has to be there.
Mr. Amin, if you're still online.
Yes.
Sir.
Using the safeguard in a right way for the national security, or let's say national SOC, is kind of challenging for every country, not only for Pakistan. But there is a lot of things that you will face, like regulation or compliance or whatever. But one very important thing here is, which without that, all your way, all the compliance, everything will be useless, fully useless, and it is intelligence. If you want to build a safeguard for every company for in a national level, you need intelligence. You need a very rich intelligence. This intelligence should be include every updated threat information, especially including the APT's actors information. So it's better to, before starting to building the safeguard, it's better to think about how we can gather this intelligence, how we can use intelligence in a right way to build our safeguards. Because we create a safeguard against APTs, not normal malwares. You know what I mean? We are trying to protect our country, protect our entity against very high level and sophisticated attacks. So it's very important to have very, very rich intelligence to build our safeguard in a right way and can use and useful for us. It is my opinion for you.
Very, very good takeaway. So what we are saying, don't try to do everything at the same time. Don't make this problem very complex problem to solve. And I think our cyber security policy should also be in phases, like put the basics in place and making sure that your basics are in place and then start building over it. So I think very good suggestion, and this is where I tend to agree with the panelists. So here comes question number 4. And it is, as many states, including our adversaries, are involved in cyber attacks or cyber warfare, should we also have a defensive offensive strategy? Or rather, we should only be concerned safeguarding our own digital frontiers? क्या हमें भी एक पूरी वो cyber force जो कि, there may be some elements of information operations, but should we intensify that or सिर्फ अपने आप को बचाते ही रहें हम?
I am reading a book from Bruce Shena, Data and Goliath. Let me name that book as well. उसमें I narrate myself like this कि आपको एक चौधरी select करना है अब दुनिया में. Either to go with the one चौधरी, either go with second चौधरी, right? So I think आप अकेले as a Pakistan with our physical presence in the map is concerned, we have to select one Chaudhary, right? Either to go with China, either to go with America. We have to see where our interests are going, right? I think there's no choice as a nation. From your previous question, we have to strategize ourselves first. कि cyber security हमारी prime importance है भी कि नहीं, right? Let me give you another example. मैं कई जगह भी quote भी करता हूँ. Another book, The Dawn of Cold War, John P. Carlin की book. उसमें he narrated the economy built by China in past 20 years is on the base of cybersecurity. They hack into the systems at European side, intellectual property, उन्होंने acquire की from America side. Now they build their economy on this thing. आप China के point of view से कह सकते हैं कि they are nationalists and patriots, but American side से you heard it from Trump or Obama, they are having a name and shame kind of thing. They are now pointing out that North Korea is doing this and China is doing this and Russia is not doing this and Falana is doing this. I think we have to have a keen importance on this field. I think previously, मैं तो इस field को लेता हूँ, this is a field of national importance.
Just take yes or no because say we need to finish it. So yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Most very briefly, there is no defense without offense.
Good. Okay, attack.
Luck favors the bold and the prepared. I think it has to be offensive.
Okay, offensive. You're saying let's not forget about defensive. Let's go offensive. Elisa. He's saying no, defensive. Mr. Amin.
Yes.
Yes, he's saying offensive. Very good. So, so offensive is no choice. So, almost the end. But as we know that there are. I'm sorry. It's question number 5. Pata lag gaya, you know, there are state-sponsored cyber attacks. So how can we trust on softwares and tools which we are buying from Western world? Because we know that there's state-sponsored attack. तो मैं सिर्फ एंड करूँगा ये गालिब के शेर के साथ कि कर्ज की पीते थे मैं, लेकिन समझते थे कि हाँ रंग लावेगी हमारी फाका मस्ती एक दिन. So we got to go indigenous, we got to develop our own solutions, defensive or offensive, it got to be ours. And I'll not take this question to the panelists because we have to finish it. I'm sorry. जी कुछ ऐड करें.
Just sharing some more details with Dr. Rafi. अब indigenization की तरफ Pakistan is heading towards, right? Research के ऊपर काम हो रहा है. Industry is gearing up with academia. Now HEC is gearing up as well, and they have announced a funding for cybersecurity space. I think हम थोड़ा सा पीछे हैं, but not so far. I think we catch up.
That's the one just thing. Yes, I agree with this thing, but then we can't build everything that world has built. So we have to go with a hybrid approach. We should start doing it, and then we can make a mix of technologies. So Russian threats can be easily detected by American devices, and then so on. So you can build on it. So I will not go into detail because we are short of time, but there are a lot of things that we can do.
Doctor, one more thing. मैंने अभी पहले एग्जांपल दी थी चाइना की. अगर चाइना पहले ही सारी चीज़ें अमेरिकन से जो इंटेलेक्चुअल इन्वेस्ट किया, अगर वो चीज़ें वो दोबारा से शुरू कर देते हैं तो वो आज यहाँ आते हैं. Fortune 500 के अंदर there are 129 companies that is listed on Fortune 500. Rather Americans had 121 companies on Fortune 500. उन्होंने वो intellectual build किया है on Americans things. I think there is no time. We have to move forward.
Thank you very much. I would have loved to take questions from the audience, लेकिन टाइम पूरा हो गया है, आगे चलना है सिलसिले में. तो बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप सब लोगों का. I think let's put a big clap for the panelists. और
Thank you very
आपने
much, guys.